As a real estate agent, there's nothing more defeating than seeing a stat that 74% of agents have not sold a house so far this year in 2024. If you're struggling to get started, feeling like you're spinning your wheels and just don't even know where to turn, then this episode is for you. Whether you're a brand new agent in the area, or maybe you have absolutely no sphere, or you're just not seeing results from the things that you've been doing so far, and you just literally feel stuck, this episode is packed full of information for you. I'm also going to tell you about a conversation that I had with an agent in Destin who fits into this category. She is brand new to the area, is trying everything she can, but just has not been able to put anything together and is spinning her wheels and ready to give up. I'm going to give you all of the advice that I gave her and much more. And also by the end of this episode, you'll know exactly where to start. That's my goal for you in this episode, to give you that clear plan that's congruent to you so that you can stay consistent and break through and build a business that you love. Stick around. Welcome to the Agent Rise podcast, where we celebrate that you are unique and one of a kind. Instead of asking you to do things that make you cringe, we help you create a clear, personalized plan that aligns with you. No more overthinking or wasting time, just a straightforward path to building a real estate business you love. Welcome, Risers. It's that time once again for the Agent Rise podcast. I'm your host, Neil Mathweg. Thank you so much for joining me. Today, I want to crush that stat. I hear this stat that's rolling around on the internet. I don't even know if it's true. I tried to fact check it. I found some resources, but 74%, this is according to NAR, 74% of agents have not closed a house so far in 2024. Again, I don't know if it's true. It feels like it's true from the agents that I've talked to. I really can believe this stat. It's hard to believe, but I can believe it. And because I am with agents all day long and I see the challenges that they're facing. So how do we crush this stat? How do we get rid of this? And I was talking with an agent in Destin. I was just in Destin, Florida last week for a conference and had a great conversation with a brand new agent. She's been at it for about 8 months or so and just cannot get anything going. She has absolutely no sphere. She moved to Destin because of military. She's in the Air Force and was PCS'd to Destin and it lives there happily, loves living there, but doesn't know anybody. She has no sphere. And I said, come on, what about your friends? What about and she's like, everybody either is an agent themselves or they don't live here. And all of my connections are out on the West Coast. And I have nobody here. And she said, I've been trying to do open houses and I go to one open house after another and nobody shows up. Do I got to do dancing on TikTok or what is it that I got to do to get my business going? And literally just feels stuck in this moment. And I see so many agents in this exact same scenario. And so I want to give you the advice that I gave her because I think it's the answer to helping these agents that are in this category of spinning their wheels. And, 74% haven't even sold a house. There's so many agents that are down right now that are struggling. And so let this episode be your episode to get your business going. So what I explained to her is she needs a clear plan that's congruent to her and one that she stays consistent with. So what does that mean? Well, we want to do a 3-pillar plan. That's what we mean by when we say a clear plan. It should be a 3-pillar plan. And the first pillar is your sphere of influence. These are your people. The second pillar is a chase pillar, a pillar for you to go out there and get business. This is best known as open houses, online leads, FSBOs and expireds, or maybe this even goes out into some niches, working with first-time home buyers, working with those that are relocating, PCSing, so many different niches. You can work with seniors and probate, and the list goes on. So that's the chase pillar. And then the third and final pillar is the attraction pillar. And this is best known as social media, YouTube, blogging, anything that you can do to create content that will attract people to you based off of your content. So I gave her that advice. I said, we got to build a 3-pillar plan. And she understood that, but she said, Neil, wait, I don't have anybody in my sphere of influence. Literally, I know nobody here in Destin, Florida, and I am struggling. I don't know a single person. Everybody that I know is out on the West Coast. And I said, you know what? I've heard that scenario before. I get it. I think about Jeremy Allen in Virginia Beach. When he moved to Virginia Beach, he knew one person, and that was his sister. And now today he has a database, a sphere of influence, strong sphere of influence of well over 300 people. And he has great client events, a VIP program. I mean, you would think that he has grown up in the town. He knows so many people and has built this large sphere of influence. So let that be a word of advice. And what I was explaining to her is that if you know 3 people, start with 3. Then next month, there'll be 5 people. And so the steps that you need to take to build that sphere of influence, step number 1 is to build that database. And again, she knows nobody, right? So she's going to have 3 or 4, maybe 5 people in that database. And that's okay. Our first goal is to always build that database of around 100. But if she knows nobody, maybe it's going to start out low like that. And then we just need to keep adding to it. And by doing a strong chase pillar, she is going to attract a lot of people that she could put into that sphere of influence. So right now it may start out at 3, and then next month it's 5, and then the next month maybe it's 8, and then it's going to grow to 12. And then just imagine 6 months from now, maybe it's going to be up to 25, and maybe a year from now it's going to be at 100, right? But if you don't get started, if you say, I have no sphere, so I'm just going to ignore those first 3 steps of the Agent Rise steps, which is to build that database, send that announcement letter, and start mailing newsletters, she might just say, I'm gonna forget that because I have no database. And that's the mistake right there that you have to avoid. You have to start with whatever you have. I always think about my wife when I think about this. We've gone on journeys in our life, and she just always said, let's go with what we have. And that's what you have to do in this situation, is go with what you have. So now that she's got her sphere started, now she needs to focus on a chase pillar. And I got talking with her about different chase pillars, and the one that stood out was open houses. She had already been doing open houses, but hasn't had any success with them. She's been sitting in one open house after another with nobody coming. And she's like, that's just not the answer. And earlier in that day, I was talking with a lender who was telling me about an agent that he works with and does open houses with this other agent. And this other agent is just absolutely crushing it with open houses. And once I explained that to her, she kind of opened her eyes a little bit and said, well, maybe I'm doing open houses wrong. And that's exactly the point that I wanted to make, because when you focus on a chase pillar, such as open houses, and you do them weekend after weekend or week after week. You can do them during the middle of the week too, right? But weekend after weekend, week after week, you're going to become a master. And when I was practicing, what I focused on was open houses. And I did open houses every single weekend for the first 5 years of my career. It built my business. It was a big part of my business. I met so many people out and about at open houses. And a lot of times they were already people in my sphere, which made it even better, right? Because I already had that connection. And then they would see me at an open house and they'd be like, oh my gosh, Neil, I didn't know you were an agent. I should work with you. Or I forgot about you, Neil. I'm so glad I run into you here today. I would love for you to help me find my home, right? So doing open houses religiously makes you better at them. And so what I did is I became a master at open houses. I got the whole process down, like dialed in completely. People would walk in the door. I'd hand them a clipboard. On the clipboard, I had an easy to fill out survey that would just take them minutes to fill out. At the bottom of the survey, it had their contact information. I'd get their contact information on that form. And then when they were about to leave, I'd ask them, what do they think about the home? I'd already got the feedback, right? They already filled out that form, and I get that clipboard back from them. But I would ask them one more question, and that is, what did you think of the home? Tell me what you think about it. And with that, I would get their criteria. I mean, at first I'd pick up on the fact that if they were interested in the home or not. And if they weren't, then I picked up on the things that they were looking for in their home, because they would say something like, yeah, I love this beautiful home, but we really need 4 bedrooms. Or we were hoping that the family room would be bigger because we've got 3 teenage boys that need a place to crash. Or we were hoping that it'd have a bigger backyard, or whatever the case might be. Whatever that house is missing, gives you the clue of what they're looking for. It gives you their story of criteria. And that's what you're looking for at an open house is you're looking for their contact information and their search criteria, because then you can begin to matchmake and you can become a master at open houses. And I did so many open houses that I got to see what open houses were good and what open houses were bad. I learned that doing an open house out in the country, out in the rural area is usually not the best thing. There's usually not a lot of traffic, but doing a open house in a neighborhood that has a lot of move up potential, meaning there's homes priced below the median, homes priced at the median, and homes priced above the median. I loved those neighborhoods because there was always people moving. There was people that had a lower priced home that were looking to upgrade, and so they would look at that median priced home, and then there was buyers that had that median price home that were looking for that larger home, and so they were looking up. And then we also had people that were downsizing in these neighborhoods. So a neighborhood like that, oh my gosh, it's just complete gold. I wanted to do as many open houses there as I possibly can, because every time I did one, I knew that I was going to get a lot of people through. And see, you'll see with this, there is so much around open houses. It's kind of like when you go fishing, right? When you go fishing, you know that there's a hot spot, and you also know that there's areas that are not so good for fishing, right? And so it's the same thing with open houses. You can find an open house that is absolutely fantastic, and you can find an open house that's a dud. And I'm telling you, the more open houses you do, the more you start to realize where the great open houses are. But if you just try open houses every once in a while, I don't know how many open houses she had tried, but I'm assuming it wasn't very many because she hadn't found her way quite with it yet. But if you've only sprinkled in a few open houses and do them every once in a while and go in with a bad attitude and not high expectations for the open houses, well, then that's exactly what you're going to get. But if you go into the open house and you do your research and you find the best open house and you do open house after open house one weekend after another, you will become a master and you will crush it. And this is what she needs to do. She doesn't want to invest in a lead source. Open houses are free, other than you got to buy the signs and get the supply to begin. But other than that, they're free. So it's an opportunity for her to get free leads, to meet one person after another. And she's got a great personality and she's got a great way about her. I think she's going to do fantastic. She's just got to give herself more at bats. All right. So her sphere is going to be really small, right? To begin, it's going to be, less than 5 people, 10 people. Okay. And then every time she's out there doing open houses and meeting more people, she's going to add to that sphere. She's going to add to that sphere. And she can also do other things with that chase pillar. She could do some networking. There's so many other things that you can do if open houses don't become her thing. I mean, she could explore Facebook advertising. She could explore online leads. She could get into a niche, first-time home buyers or seniors or there's a lot of different niches in the chase pillar. All right. So those are her first 2 pillars. Her third pillar is going to be PCSing and people relocating. She is military and has a lot of connections when it comes to military, and she can be the guide of those that are PCSing. And to do that the best, I suggest YouTube. She had mentioned she doesn't want to dance on TikTok, and I said, good. I wouldn't suggest doing that either. Instead, what I would suggest doing is putting out content for those that are PCSing to the area, and put that content on YouTube, because that's where they're searching for it. It can spill over onto some other platforms as well, but YouTube, I think, should be the primary platform for this, and it should be a living in and moving to and PCSing to that area. And she needs to be the guide for that Air Force Base. For those that are relocating to that Air Force Base, she needs to let them know about all the housing that's around the area, all the different price ranges for the housing, the different types of housing. Is it single family? Is it duplexes? Is it condos? Is it apartments? Like, what are the different types of housing? And then what are the locations around the base, and what neighborhoods are closest to the base, and what neighborhoods are great, but they're a little bit of a drive? And then what are some other questions that they have? They probably need a job for their spouse. They probably need childcare for their kids. They need to be connected with other military families in the area. What are some other things that they need when they're moving to the area? Where are the grocery stores? Where are the list goes on. Where are the popular restaurants? Where's the popular hangout areas? The list goes on and on and on. And here's the thing, is you become their guide. right? You are the one that is going to tell them everything about the city that they need to know. All of the important information that they're looking for, you're providing it for them. And at the same time, they're getting to know you. Just like you're getting to know me if you're watching this over on YouTube, right? You're seeing a video right now and you're starting to get to know me and my personality. And with that, hopefully I'm building trust, right? And that's what we do on YouTube is we build trust before they even meet you. And so then when they call you, they treat you like you're famous. It's really, really funny. They'll call you and they'll be like, "Oh my gosh, I can't believe I'm talking to you. This is so surreal. I've just been watching all of your videos. Can you help me? I'm moving to the area and I need a guide. I need help." And that's exactly how it works, right? You're their guide. You begin to build that relationship with them and build that trust over camera before they even meet you. Now, let's put this all together. So she's got a sphere that is small, right? It's going to have very few people on it. But when you focus on that sphere, it will start to build. She's going to have 4 or 5 from the very beginning. She's going to mail that announcement letter, and then she's going to start mailing newsletters. And I told her, I said, one of the best things about that is it's going to cost you very little to mail newsletters every month, right? We figure about $1.50 per person. And so it's going to be, 5, it's going to be about $10 a month for her to start mailing newsletters. Okay. So, and then every single month, because she's doing that on repetition, she's going to be adding more people. Then she's going to go crush open houses, and she's going to do as many open houses as she possibly can. I said, if you have nothing else to do, I would be doing open houses every day of the week if I could. Every chance that you have to do an open house is a chance for you to meet more people to bring them into your sphere. All right. And then you just focus on matchmaking at the open house. You get their contact information and their search criteria and get busy matchmaking. You don't have to wait for that magical moment where somebody walks in and says, "Oh my gosh, so great to meet you." And you say, "Great, let me help you." Let me whisk them away and you go help them buy a house. It doesn't have to be that unicorn type moment. Instead, what you're looking for is their contact information and their search criteria, and then get busy finding them a home. You don't need their permission. You've got their contact information and their search criteria. So get out there and find a home and call them and say, "Hey, I met you a couple weeks ago at the open house and you had mentioned that you were looking for this. Well, I just happened to find one over here in this other part of town and it's not even available on the market yet, but let me know if you're interested. I'd love to get you in to see that home." And that way you're matchmaking. You're calling them and saying, "Hey, I saw this house and I thought of you." And those are magical words to a buyer. And again, you don't have to have their permission to do that. You get their contact information and their search criteria, just start finding them properties. And if they don't call you back, well, then go find them another property and just keep calling them and tell them about properties, because that's what they're looking for, right? Buyers are looking for houses and sellers are looking for buyers. That's how simple real estate really is. And that's how simple you can make matchmaking. All right. So now she's got her sphere starting to build. She's meeting people at open houses. She's getting matchmaking. She's out there finding properties for people, and she's meeting people on the regular. She's adding all of them to their sphere. So then every month they're going to start to get her newsletter. And then the third pillar is the big one, and that is YouTube, and building a YouTube channel of moving to and living in, and then let that spill over onto social media. Don't tell your friends about your YouTube channel, because they're not the audience. They're going to go watch 1 or 2 minutes of the video and then stop, and it'll kill your algorithm. So just let it build, but then you can use those videos in other places organically. You can also create shorts and everything else beyond that. But I'm telling you, long form video of living in, the cost of living in, the pros and cons of living in, the things you need to know when living in, and moving to, the things you need to know before moving to, the things to avoid when moving to, the list goes on. So living in and moving to. And then because of her specialty, she should have one more keyword strategy, and that is around PCSing to the military base, the name of the military base that she's closest to. And so it'll be PCSing to that Air Force base. And then all of the content around that is to help those that are PCSing. Now, she's also military, so she needs to let her audience know that she PCSed herself many a times and knows what it's like, and is here to be their guide, to be the one that helps them. And then she provides all that content on YouTube for them, a library of content. She can then take that content and do even more with it. There's all kinds of military Facebook groups, military family Facebook groups, and she needs to plug into those Facebook groups and be active and answer a lot of questions. And when it's right, share a YouTube video to answer somebody's question. Let's say somebody asks, like, hey, who do you recommend for daycare in the area? And let's say you put a whole video up together about PCSing and the things that families need to know when moving to. You would then share that video with her. And again, you're the guide. You're there to help. And you're not there, hey, give me some business. You're not doing that. You're just like, here, there's a video that I put together that I think will be really helpful for you. And just put the video in there, right? And that way you're using your content to serve more. The other thing you can do is you can start to build an email list of those that are PCSing. And then every time you publish a new YouTube video, you could use that YouTube video, create it into a email, take the transcript into ChatGPT and create an email with it and send out an email blast or send out a consistent sequence of emails to those that are PCSing to the area because they clicked on one of your lead magnets or whatever the case might be. But you build that email list, and then now you can start emailing all of the videos that you're producing. All right. Now, this is a clear plan that's congruent to her, and now she needs to stay consistent with it. And I knew it was congruent to her because she got excited about the idea and started to see that there is a path for her. She went from hopeless to oh, okay, I think I can do this. So again, she's going to get that 3-pillar built. That's going to be congruent to her, and then help her stay consistent with that. And with that, to help stay consistent with it, the one thing I recommend is our group coaching, staying accountable to your actions. There's so many steps to this. So we talked about, building these 3 pillars, but then there's also 8 steps that go with this. And there is a lot of roadblocks along the way. There's a lot of doubt that comes up, a lot of fear that comes up. And so we need to flush that out. And our group coaching here at Agent Rise is small group coaching, 4 to 6 agents in a call. And with this, it's going to really, really help her move her business forward. If you're interested in the group coaching, you can get all of the details by going to our website, agentrisecoaching.com/academy. And there you will see the 2 different options that we have for our coaching. The first is the $97 a month Agent Rise Academy, and that includes Agent Rise Bootcamp. It includes Agent Rise Live, which is a monthly publication that we put out. You get access to our Facebook group. You get access to our complete resource library. We've got so many videos to help you move your business forward. It's got Bootcamp included, which is our 12-session course to help you build that clear plan. I was able to discuss this clear plan with this lady here today and with you all. But what does that look like for you? What is your clear plan? And that's what Bootcamp helps you with. And that is for $97 a month. If you want to upgrade from there and get into the group coaching is $297 a month. And that includes a call every other week with 4 to 6 other agents, or in this case, it'd be 4 to 5 other agents if you're there. And so 4 to 5 other agents, including yourself, will be on these calls. And it's every other week, small group. You get to speak every single time. You get to get help every single time. We get to crush the fears, crush the doubts, and keep you moving forward so that we have that clear plan that's congruent to you. And now we're going to stay consistent. Again, all of these details to join Agent Rise is at agentrisecoaching.com/academy, and go ahead and get started today. Thank you so much for listening. I hope you have a great day. And like always, remember to be the reason somebody smiles today.